Welcome back, children. We have already started the video recording of this sample paper from the subject biology. We have already completed up to 31st question in the question paper. As you know, the new pattern of questions contain 33 questions. The first 16 questions of 1 mark each, then 70 to 25 questions of 2 mark each, then 26 to 30 questions of 3 mark, and last 31 to 33 questions are of 5 mark each, total 70 mark. In this session, we have already completed that section C up to section C, then section D, one question completed, and now the second question, 32 question, 32nd, okay. There are two sessions. How is pro-insulin so called? How is insulin different from it? Pro-insulin. Okay, you know insulin is made up of two small polynucleated protein chains. We say polynucleated A and polynucleated B. So insulin consists of two small polynucleated chains, polynucleated A and polynucleated B. Okay, and this insulin was in ancient time extracted from the slaughtered cows and pigs. Slaughtered cows and pigs. The serum of these cows and the pigs were isolated and they purified. But this serum, which contained the antibodies, or which contain the pro-insulin or insulin itself, is the cause of allergy in many people. So that was an old story. Now we synthesize, we make the insulin, by genetic engineering method or recombinant DNA technologically. Okay. In our body, normally in human body or mammal's body, the insulin is produced in the form of inactive form, that is called pro-insulin. Pro-insulin is an inactive form or primary form of insulin which contain two polypeptide chain connected by a peptide bond. Connected by disulfide bridge. And in this form there is a side chain called C-peptide. So we can understand that the pro-insulin is a type of insulin in which there is a small side chain called C-peptide. In our body, this pro-insulin with C-peptide undergoes processing and modification and maturation and form a mature insulin without C-peptide. You got that idea? So mature insulin or normal insulin is lacking C-peptide side chain, whereas pro-insulin contains C-peptide side chain. In our body, this pro-insulin is processed and matured to form the mature insulin without C-peptide. Next one. Describe gene therapy treatment for an ADA deficient patient. ADA is what is called ADA, adenosine deaminase is an enzyme. Adenosine deaminase. Adenosine deaminase. This enzyme is produced by a gene ADA-cDNA. ADA-cDNA. This gene is found in the bone marrow cells. ADA-cDNA is the gene for the production of an enzyme, adenosine deaminase. This gene is present in the bone marrow cells. And adenosine deaminase is very important for the efficient functioning of our immune system. People who are having this deficient or defective gene, ADA-cDNA, cannot produce adenosine deaminase. They develop immunodeficiency problems. Okay. Then what are the solutions for this? Yes, we have solutions. As the treatment, we can, the first step of the treatment is that we can remove the lymphocytes from the body. Because lymphocytes are the cells which provide immune capacity or immune power to our body. So the lymphocytes are isolated from the bone marrow of the patients and cultured in vitro. Cultured in vitro. In vitro means in the controlled conditions. Culturing in vitro. Okay, culturing. After culturing into large number of lymphocytes, the ADA-cDNA, functional gene for production of ADA, we call ADA-cDNA, is incorporated into the lymphocytes. So, such lymphocytes with this ADA-cDNA is called the recombinant lymphocytes. That will be introduced into the patient's body periodically. So the problem is that repeated and regular infusion of this recombinant lymphocytes are required to overcome this problem. But that is practically very difficult. So there is a permanent solution for this problem. That is called the gene therapy, in which the functional gene for this enzyme ADA-cDNA is cultured, and that will be introduced or incorporated into the embryonic cells in the early stages of the life. Say 8-celled embryo, 32-celled embryo, or 16-celled embryo. In that condition, the number of embryonic cells are very less and easy to identify where the enzyme, where is that problem existing, or which chromosome has the problem, and accordingly it will be corrected by releasing the ADA-cDNA into the embryonic cells right at the beginning of the life of, right at the very early embryonic stage. You got this idea? Now, the next question of this question is, nematode specific genes are introduced into tobacco plant. Nematode specific genes are introduced in the tobacco plant using agrobacterium vectors to develop the resistance in tobacco plants against nematode. Explain the events that develop resistance in tobacco plant. Tobacco plants are infected with a protozoa, a bacterium called Agrobacterium tumefaciens. Agrobacterium tumefaciens. These Agrobacterium tumefaciens can cause cancer, tumor development in the tobacco plant. So tobacco production will be, the productivity of the tobacco will be affected, and tobacco plant will lead to death. So Agrobacterium tumefaciens, they can introduce a gene, what is called tDNA, tumor-inducing DNA into the tobacco plant. This tumor-inducing DNA in the tobacco plant can trigger the formation of tumor. That will cause a huge economic loss for the farmer. How to protect the tobacco plant from the infection by Agrobacterium vectors? Now, Agrobacterium can be made harmless and act as a vector. Anyway, Agrobacterium is very proficient and efficient in attacking the tobacco plant and transfer the tDNA into the host plant like tobacco plant. Then why can't we use Agrobacterium as the vector? Yes, it is a novel idea in which Agrobacterium is made harmless by removing the tDNA. By removing the tDNA, we can make the Agrobacterium harmless, and thereafter we can use it as a vector that carry the gene of interest into the host plant or cotton plant. Now, in this venture, what we do, we will introduce an RNA, a DNA into the bacteria, into the agrobacterium. What we do, we will introduction of DNA into this agrobacterium. Introduction of DNA into the agrobacterium vector. Make the agrobacterium, when we introduce the DNA, normal DNA into the agrobacterium. Inside the agrobacterium, two types of DNA will be produced. That is called sense and antisense. Sense and antisense DNA. Sense DNA and antisense DNA. Antisense DNA. These two DNA are complementary to each other and form double stranded. Okay, when we introduce a DNA into the host, into the agrobacterium, what will happen? The DNA will transcribe into mRNA. DNA will be transcribed into mRNA. Now you can see the DNA which is transcribed into mRNA produce two types of codons. Okay, in the mRNA, two types of mRNA will be formed. The one type of mRNA is sense codon or sense mRNA, and the other one is antisense. So sense RNA and antisense RNA become double-stranded RNA. Double-stranded RNA. This double-stranded RNA cannot translate into protein. This protein causes really, the tumor. Okay. So when the RNA become double-stranded like this, as they are complementary to each other, they become double-stranded RNA, and this double-stranded RNA cannot translate into protein, or they produce a defective protein. As a result, the tumor producing proteins can be stopped in their formation. Okay, so tumor producing proteins can be stopped because of the double-stranded RNA. So this method is called RNA interference. RNAi. Short form we can say RNAi or RNA interference. So once again, introduction of DNA into the agrobacterium produces two types of DNAs. The DNA transcribe into RNA and from two types of RNAs. These two types of RNAs are complementary. These two types of RNAs are called sense and antisense, and they complementary to each other and for double-stranded RNA. So double-stranded RNA or mRNA cannot translate into protein. As a result, the tumor production will be stopped. This technique is called RNA interference.